Good day, everyone. Today I want to talk about something that might hit close to home for many of us. The walls that trap us are sometimes the very ones we draw ourselves. This is a powerful concept when you think about it. So often we feel confined, limited, or held back by circumstances we think are outside our control. But the truth is, some of the biggest barriers in our lives are ones we've built ourselves. These walls are made from our fears, insecurities, self-doubt, and negative beliefs. Let's explore how we create these walls, and more importantly, how to break free from them. The invisible walls we build. Have you ever stopped to wonder why you don't go after that dream job? Why you hesitate to ask for the raise you deserve? Or why you avoid pursuing a meaningful relationship? So often we tell ourselves stories about why we can't do these things. I'm not qualified. I'm not good enough. What if I fail? These are the walls we draw around ourselves. Unlike real walls, these barriers aren't built with bricks or cement. They're built with limiting beliefs and self-imposed rules. The problem is, over time, these mental barriers become just as real as physical ones. We start to believe in them, and before we know it, we feel trapped. But the reality is, the walls aren't real. They exist only in our minds. So, why do we create these walls in the first place? It comes down to fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, and even fear of success. When we fear something, our brain's natural response is to protect us. And one way it does this is by putting up mental barriers. It tells us, if you don't try, you can't fail. It convinces us that staying inside our comfort zone is safer than stepping out and risking failure. But here's the thing. Staying inside that self-imposed wall keeps us stuck. While it may feel safe, it's also a prison. By avoiding the discomfort of failure, we also avoid growth, progress, and success. I want you to think about this. Comfort is often the enemy of progress. When we build these walls, it's usually because we want to stay comfortable. We want to avoid the pain of falling short. But comfort zones are dangerous because they give us a false sense of security. They make us feel safe, but they also trap us in a cycle of mediocrity. Growth doesn't happen within comfort zones. It happens when we push past the walls we've built, step into the unknown, and challenge ourselves. It's like planting a seed. The seed is safe underground, but in order to grow into a tree, it has to break through the soil and face the elements. Recognizing the walls in your life. The first step to breaking free from these walls is recognizing them. Ask yourself, what beliefs or fears are holding me back? Maybe it's the belief that you're not capable of more, or the fear that you'll be judged if you fail. Maybe it's the insecurity that you don't deserve success. Whatever it is, identifying those mental barriers is the key to overcoming them. For example, think about a goal you've been avoiding. Is it because you're truly not ready? Or is it because you've convinced yourself you're not good enough? More often than not, it's the latter. We hold ourselves back because we fear what will happen if we try and fail. One great example of someone is Nelson Mandela, who was in prison for 27 years for his fight against apartheid in South Africa. His external prison was a literal wall, but the internal walls of despair, anger, and hopelessness were ones he had to break down himself. Instead of letting his imprisonment define him, Mandela used that time to build mental and emotional strength. After his release, he led South Africa to democracy and became a symbol of freedom and perseverance. Here's the truth. Fear is the brick we use to build our walls. But just as fear builds the wall, action is the hammer that breaks it down. The only way to tear down these mental barriers is to take action. Every time you take a step forward, whether it's applying for that job, starting that business, or putting yourself out there, you chip away at the wall. Action doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means you don't let fear stop you. Feel the fear and take action anyway. Each step forward weakens the wall until one day you break through it completely. The power of rewriting your story. Another key to breaking free from these walls is rewriting the story you've been telling yourself. So many of us are trapped by narratives like, "I'm not smart enough," or "I always mess things up." These stories are just that, stories. They're not facts. They're not set in stone. And just like any story, you can rewrite the narrative of your life. Start telling yourself a new story. I am capable. I deserve success. I will grow from failure. When you change the narrative, you change your reality. Suddenly, the walls you once saw as immovable begin to crumble. Look at Sarah Blakely. Before creating Spanx, Sarah worked as a door-to-door fax machine saleswoman. She faced countless rejections, but never let those walls of rejection hold her back. Blakely believed in her idea and continued to push forward. She often talks about how her father encouraged her to embrace failure, seeing it not as a setback, but as a step toward success. Her resilience paid off when she founded Spanx, a billion-dollar company. She didn't let her fears or self-doubt stop her from pursuing her dreams. One of the hardest things about tearing down these walls is that it doesn't happen overnight. Consistency is key. You have to chip away at those mental barriers little by little, day by day. Whether it's pushing yourself to take small risks or challenging your negative beliefs, breaking free is a process. It's not always about taking huge leaps. Sometimes it's about taking one small step forward every day. And eventually, those steps add up. The walls you once thought were impossible to break down will begin to crumble. The walls don't define you. Your willingness to tear them down does. Remember, the walls that trap us are often the ones we draw ourselves, but those walls don't define you. What defines you is your willingness to tear them down. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the fear you let take root in your mind. But fear is a choice, and so is courage. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I going to keep living inside the walls I've built, or am I ready to break free? Because once you decide to step out of that comfort zone, to face the fear and keep going, you'll discover that those walls were never as strong as you thought they were. The only thing keeping you inside them was you. So today, take action. Chip away at those walls, one step at a time. And before you know it, you'll find yourself standing on the other side, stronger, braver, and more capable than ever.